Hey gang, welcome back. Thank you for joining me. This is my last layer, so I'm assuming it's my last broadcast of the day. Started this 3 or 4 hours ago. Took a long break, by the way. Jumped in our pool during a hurricane. Jumped in our pool and got the leaves out. Got my workout and washed my hair. Y'all are glad when I wash my hair because you get a great shot of it. Okay, way too much information, TMI. I'm down to the last layer, but my eye tells me, I wish there was a little bit more of that scratchiness that I like, a little bit more of that pencil. So I'm going to do some quick pencil. So this is officially right now, technically, then layer number 12, and the final edit will be layer number 13. So just in case, you're keeping score, this is a 13-layer painting, and I'm just doing as much pencil as I want to. I don't need to do any, do you know what I mean? So I'm free to make very abstract and random marks. I am discovering this is happening more and more lately. It doesn't bother me. It's fine. It's the fuzz layer. As the fuzz layer has grown, not only in importance, but grown in acreage. It's grown in how many square inches I do the fuzz to. I'm finding I'm losing too much of the pencil. Again, no big deal. You understand, you always paint with your eyes. You always paint, you always draw with your eyeballs. That's what you draw with. That's the part of the brain that's engaged, is you don't paint by formula, you don't paint by recipe, you paint with your eyeballs. And so my eyeballs said, man, it's not quite as much scratchiness, pencil-ish-ness as I would like. And of course, even this is not the final layer. This is not the final edit. The final edit is the final edit. The final layer, which I've also called often the light opaque highlights, that's when I make all my final decisions. The last layer is by far the slowest layer. It covers up probably fewer square inches than any other layer. It does, like in a painting this size, no more than this much of the painting will have opaque paint on it. Probably less than that, but it's those little bits are so carefully placed. So I'll spend quite a bit of time thinking. And usually, by the way, because of that, I rarely broadcast the entire last layer. It just is too boring. By the way, I'm going to do something unusual. 591981. I'm actually, look at me, penmanship grip. This is what I tell people not to do all the time. Don't do this. Every rule can be broken. You just got to know when and why you're breaking it. Has to do in this case because the numbers that are here are so big, and they didn't look good. Now they look better. Of course, final edit. One thing I want to point out whenever I'm doing any layer, but even this one, this is the next to the last. In English, we have a word for that, by the way. It's called penultimate. The next to the last layer. Next to the last anything is penultimate. And even in this penultimate layer, it's okay if I overdo the pencil a little bit. Why? Because I can unoverdo it in the final edit layer. Does that make sense? So I don't want to overdo it, but I don't have to worry about it too much. My main goal right now is to get enough pencil. And again, why am I doing pencil? It's not because the drawing needs help. It doesn't. The drawing is done. But I like the scratchy. I just like the feel. That's what I keep saying. Okay, at the moment now there are 5, I think, or 6 different ways of rendering these lines. When I finish edit number 7, I'll add to that palette knife. That'll be 7 techniques, or 6, I'm sorry. I think it's 5, 6, and then I'll negative paint 7, and then paint. There'll be at least 8 different techniques that I've used to render this highly repeated, highly repetitious motif up here. This shape that shows up a whole bunch of times. That is these lines. That's a repeated motif. Line, 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 line. Are you with me? And anytime you have a repeated motif, you must come up with several different techniques for rendering that repetition, or it will be boring. So I'm going to have at least 8 different ways of painting in those lines by the time the painting is finished. Two girls in my office, in my studio. Welcome, girls.
Papa, didn't you move your trumpet?
Yes, I can move my trumpet. That's a reasonable request.
Yeah, I have it too. This too.
Yeah, grab whichever one you want.
I grabbed one. Well, I came in and pulled this one. Let's stay with it. And to this, to this.
Okay. This is nets hanging down. And this is a net hanging down. Okay. I think that's just about enough scratchiness. Oh, I say that and I keep scratching.
I thought you were doing paint.
I am. Right now I'm just using pencils in my painting. Okay. Final edit layer.
I need pink. Pinky, pinky, pinky.
4 options.
It's right there.
I say this every time I do it. 4 options. Where to start the
This
final
pink.
edit.
I don't need it.
4 options. Number 1, traditional. Start with the
This
furthermost
pink?
object, which in the landscape is always the sky. Start with the sky, move forward. Number 2, start with the focal point and move up from there like rings of a target. Number 3, start with the lightest, brightest, whitest thing, which is also probably focal point. Second here, second here, second, but there. And number 4, start with any large object that needs color correcting. Now that option right there has become less important, or less frequent as my fuzz layer has grown, has expanded to take that role. So very rarely now am I doing that 4th option. So 3 options: sky, focal point, light spot. Yeah, I'm going to start focal, pretty predictable. Focal point, light spot. Not too much talking, Tali. I'm broadcasting, okay? Okay, Tali?
Okay.
All right. Mixing up a very, very pale warm white. Yellow ochre is my usual go-to color for warming up white instead of the yellow, which is too yellow. Can you believe I'm still looking at my reference occasionally?
This is footprints. This is. Those are footprints. No. I need to do something on this.
Yeah. And by the way, just because I've done the fuzz layer already doesn't mean that I can't add more fuzz in the final edit. I do that pretty often. If I do that, I'll show you how I do it. I don't think I need to do it right there. Now here's the reason. When I do the fuzz layer for a long time and I still struggle with it, it just feels like I'm ruining the painting because I'm just obliterating all this detail and adding so much fuzz. But I have to remember, I keep reminding myself, you don't forget, I'm going to come back and add quite a few hard edges right in the middle of that fuzz. Like right here. See how hard, let me zoom in here as close as I can go. See, even my hard edges, like that edge, see how much fuzz is here. But look at what a contrast there is between that hard edge and all this. I mean, there's no question, if you will, there's no question where the edge of that boat is. Right? Because I've come back and added such a hard edge. In fact, many times it's so hard that that's why I'll take a soft brush and sometimes a fan brush and make it even softer. I may do that yet, but I'm not going to do it right now. I'm not making that judgment right at this second. Reserving judgment to come back and do that if I so choose. And with this final edit, I cover up as much of the pencil as I want. And the final edit is just like it sounds. Sorry. At the end of this stage, you know, it's supposed to look the way everything is supposed to look the way I want it. Not until the end of this stage. And if I've done all the layers, all 13 layers, 12 layers up to this point, this is layer number 13. If I've done all of those correct, then there won't be a whole lot to do in this layer, which is always a wonderful situation to be in. Oh, by the way, having said that, now hang on just a minute. I've had recently a recent development. I'm having after the final edit layer, which would mean it's not the final, is it technically? Anyway, after the final edit layer, I've added another layer. Wow, post final edit. And I'll definitely do it on this painting. And that is, I come back after I'm, so to speak, all done, at least with day one of painting, and I do broken color layer. I will demonstrate that for you later. I don't even want to describe it right now. I want to stay focused on what I'm doing, which right now is this light opaque highlights
white.
Palette knife.
Peter,
Yeah.
I did a shape of a diamond.
Did you do the shape of a diamond?
Yes.
Cool. All by yourself?
Yes.
That's great. Way to go, baby.
And the circle and what, Peter? Peter, look. Look, I made those.
Very good. Good girl.
One way bigger.
Tali is almost 4. Yes, like,
Do you have whiteout?
I do. Okay.
Peter, I'm making a pool. Oh, maybe you know where is it?
Yep. Second one. Oh, second one. Right there. Is that the kind that you like?
I want some.
You'll have to share. You'll have to share. That's all I've got. Okay? You be patient with each other. And no fussing in my office when I'm painting. Okay, Tali?
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to make a judgment call right here. Finding a fan brush. Here we go. All of this stuff up here, just this is okay, but this stuff is becoming just a little too
That isn't the whiteout.
dotty.
that I need. It's that.
Many times that can be fixed simply by making it more glowy. I think that'll do it.
Because that isn't the whiteout that I need. It's
You have to squeeze it. You know how to use it? You have to squeeze it.
Hey, I want something.
Okay. You have to share. Okay, and if fussiness,
Yay.
if much more fussiness comes out, then you're both going out, okay? Blake, do you hear me?
Yes. Wait, I know how to make something. A little.
Finding myself a little heavy-handed here. I don't usually like to shift the color quite this, and especially the value, quite this strongly, but I'm going to proceed. I think I'm okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, let me mix up a slightly darker version of that. I've dipped my brush several times now into my new favorite color that I've described for some of you in the last couple of weeks. It's a, listen to this, student grade, cheap, student grade raw umber. I found it to be, let me show you the tube, I think it's over there. Yeah, it's Soho brand, which is a cheap student grade but I find it perfect for my purposes. I use it almost exclusively as a color killer. And the fact that it's student grade is actually to my advantage, because as most all student grades, the pigment level is very low. Therefore, I don't have to be extremely delicate. I can whip my brush down there and pick up a dab of it without being meticulous. And I'm not in the mood to be meticulous when I'm killing color. I just want It's kind of fun to discover a really good purpose for really cheap paint. By the way, if I got a little too meticulous with my lettering a little while ago with my pencils, now I'm demeticulizing it. I'm actually messing it up a little bit, but in a pleasant manner. That make sense? However, those letters on this boat was a little drunk. The letters are kind of crooked, but I think I like it that way.
Yes, this is a perfect video. Now, your doors.
So all the light that's hitting this side of this boat is all reflected off whatever's over here. It certainly is exaggerated, but I think I like it. Of course, I reserve the right to change my mind, but I think I like it. Let me step back. Yeah, and it's a part of this shaft of light that comes right down here. I need to add more light up here and light down here. But that's the magic that appeared on this canvas without my bidding about a couple hours ago. And I liked it so much that I'm inclined to try to keep it. So.
Now that's the eyes, and that is a smile. That's a smile. Now how do I make the feet? Oh, I know. I can sew and embrace this and make it so it's toppy him. What?
Oops. There goes our electricity. We don't know if it's going to be gone for hours or just a few minutes, so. Oh. So far, just a few minutes. Whoops. Very blue emergency light. Let me see which setting is brighter. That or that? Oh, there we go. There we go. I'm actually going to try to keep on painting. Let me see if I can paint in this light. I'm not sure that I can. Yeah, my, whoops. Terrible shadows. Hang on just a minute. I'm not going to kill myself to make it. Isn't that funny, girls?
Yeah, they both turned on.
Yeah, everything turns on all at once.
Yeah.
Well, I can paint a little bit.
And I can't even see anything.
This is terrible lighting. Let's be clear.
Wait, I can make a sunflower.
Sure helps me to see values. What's it look like to you guys? Ooh, looks kind of dramatic to you guys, doesn't it? I'm not going to try to do much. A second.
I made a flower.
Girls, I'm broadcasting still.
Flower.
Okay, thank you. I know what color's on my brushes because I mixed this color up while the lights are on. But if the lights don't come on quite soon, I'm going to stop right there because I don't dare try to match color in this lighting.
I have a good idea. Oh, I got a better light. We can use both of those lights too.
Yep.
Wait, I know. We can use one of our lights.
Okay, this is about the 8th time the lights have gone off today, but this is by far the longest time they've been out for. Well, no, 7 o'clock this morning. You might have been out longer. Okay, friends, I need to stop there. I can use up what's on my brushes, but then I don't dare try to do any color mixing in this lighting. So I'll end this broadcast here. I'll bring you back in when but it'll be the same broadcast. I won't do it as a new broadcast. Okay. Bring you. Hey gang, thanks for joining me here again. So I am, the electricity is back on. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we have just dodged a bullet, essentially, with Hurricane Florence. I guess you could say the bullet grazed us. we didn't dodge it, but it's much less serious than they were predicting just a few days ago. So we're very thankful. Feeling bad for the people who got, because the hurricane turned away from us. That means it turned towards some other people, South Carolina in particular. So Lord bless all people in South Carolina. But anyway, we got off rather scot-free. I know you're getting a bad glare there. And try a little bit. That's maybe a little tiny better. So at least the glare is just up at the top of the canvas. So I was just getting started into the, oh, that music's too loud. I'll be getting a note from YouTube. The music's on just loud enough. I don't need music to paint from. In fact, if I wasn't broadcasting, I'd be listening to podcasts of some kind. But I find the music helps me. It keeps me from getting earworms, what the Germans call songs that are stuck in your head. So it's worth having just a whisper of music on, because it prevents that irritating song stuck in head syndrome. Let me bring you in real close, because I just did something that's pretty typical of me. And I just want to show it to you. So a minute ago, like right here, you can maybe still see there's a random pencil stroke. Has nothing whatsoever. I didn't put it to, it's not supposed to be a rope. It's not anything. It's just completely abstract, random pencil stroke. I had two of the same thing right here. And this is a little trick, a visual trick, abstract trick that I do all the time. I've done it so many years now that I do it without thinking. Now, of course, you have to have something on there to begin with. But what I just did is I just not only, and again, they're not supposed to be ropes. They're not supposed to be lines, boards, anything. They were just abstract like this, pure abstract lines. But I painted up close to each side of them. So I've actually amplified them considerably. And you could still say, well, what are they? And my firm answer would be, of course, they could be on a boat. They could be ropes, but they're unusually straight and unusually placed for ropes. So what are they? The answer is, I have not got a clue. I don't know what they are, but they look cool. There's the answer. Why do we do it? Because it looks cool. It just looks cool. It's just random abstract texture that looks really cool. Forgive me again, I'm gonna try to get you pointed in the right direction now, so I'll continue painting. I just wanted to point that out. I do that kind of thing happens a fair amount in the course of my painting. Now up here is I'm doing something very similar, except in this case the skinny line that's there is in fact, yes, it's the seam in a door. It's a door. So in this case it actually represents something. They look exactly the same. It's always, I just get a kick out of doing that. I do it a lot. I get a kick out of it because it just looks cool. And I think that's kind of funny, kind of amusing almost, that what does it represent? What is it supposed to be? And the answer is nothing, just abstraction. And it just looks cool. I think that's funny. I'm going to continue to, instead of doing this color all over, I'm going to use another strategy right now, which is I'm going to focus on the focal point up here and work out little by little. So once again, here is that won't work. Oh, that won't work either. Let me try it back over the other way. Maybe I can tape it to the very top of the canvas. There we go. Yeah, okay. In the photograph, there's a lot of rust color dripping down, running down, the way rust does, it on a piece of metal. The stains, the rust stains run down. That's nice. I think I'm going to leave it just the way it is right there. But as I look even closer at this photograph, I discover, oh, wait a minute, there's some little lines, ropes, of this particular shade, this particular color, as a matter of fact, right here. Okay, two of them that color. Let's do the third one. Slightly different color. And a little bit more punch of light right there. Okay. Good enough for now. So our electricity was out for about 2 hours. A little more than 2 hours. just about the time that we started getting all excited about all our candles being lit. We hadn't even got them all lit yet. The electricity came back on. And everybody groaned. Oh, we're getting all ready for a true candlelight dinner. Well, actually, candlelight and one flashlight. And the lights came on, so we had candlelight. We had dinner with the lights on. In spite of our groan. We groaned and then said, okay, good, thanks. We'll take it. Strange creatures, aren't we? Well, we're happy creatures because we were happy with the lights off and we were happy with those when the lights came back on. So there you go. Yeah, here we go. So this panel needs a little bit lighter. I'm gonna mix up some orange-ish stuff. Now, I'm changing change things a little bit here. Since I've got this orange-ish brown on my brushes, where can I go ahead and use it? Sorry about that glare. Changed my orange-ish stuff that's on my brushes to more of a pure red. Come down here and do the brightest spots of this, the red boat, the red water line. Okay, if you are by any chance an artist or painter and you want to follow my technique somewhat, let me give you the biggest warning, especially if you're a somewhat experienced painter. It is, for you, this last layer, the final edit layer, is going to be the most difficult. Precisely because if you try to paint in my technique, you will recognize that at this point, from here on outward, I'm painting in a very traditional manner. In other words, I'm painting opaque colors. All the rules that apply to that process apply to what I'm doing now. That's why when I'm teaching, I very often, this is the part of the painting process that gets the least amount of attention because it's the most ordinary step in the process. But here's why it's the most difficult for you who are already painters. Because here's what happens. When you get to this point in my painting process, inside you breathe a big sigh of relief and go, oh, thank God, finally now I can just paint the way I know how to paint. And left to your own devices, you will plaster opaque paint over the entire canvas, obliterating all of your beautiful underpainting layers. And then, of course, wondering, why did we spend all that time doing all those underpainting if I'm just going to end up with a painting that looks exactly, right? Are you with me? I don't even have to finish the sentence, do I? precisely. So the point is, no, you're not supposed to. You're not, you're not supposed to obliterate, cover up your whole canvas. So they're probably done with that red area. A little bit back, way back here. Just a little bit. Show the back of the boat turning around. Now, once again, since I have this color on my brushes, I'm going to go ahead and use it. This is what I mentioned earlier today. I said the magic that is created by the random underpainting marks, not only do I want them to stay there, I'm actually going to exaggerate them slightly. That did not work. I'm looking for my rags here and there. So at the moment, some of these red marks that are purely the result of the first strokes, abstract strokes that I put down on the canvas, are still showing through, and I like them very much showing through, so much so that I'm actually going to re-accentuate them, give them support. So the little bits of red, like this right here, that red, well, that might have come from actually drawing that ladder. But this right here has nothing to do with drawing. It's just coming up through all the layers. And that little red dot, can you see it? Barely. That little red dot, just sweet. Just a sweet little bit of randomness. Same thing up here. All you're getting is pure glare. No, all you're getting is pure shadow. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to just save a little bit of time, cleaning brushes, the bane of my existence is cleaning brushes. So I don't have to clean so much. I'm going to go ahead and keep working. So I had a slightly, well, no, clean enough. I had a cool red on my brushes. Now I'm going to create a purple so that I don't have to clean the brushes, right? Because I'm just going around. So now I have purple on my brushes, and I'm actually doing the new last layer, which I have been calling color breaks, broken color. I'm doing right now. Just introducing little bits of foreign, might be a good word. Little bits of foreign abstract color. So again, I've got this lavender purple-ish stuff on my brush, and I'm looking all over the painting for where there is already a hint of purple. I'm just going in and giving that hint a little boost. In this area in particular, there's quite a bit. Just beautiful little sparkles of underpainting coming through. And right now I'm looking for the sparkles that are purple-ish. Just a little bit right here. And giving them a boost. Because the purple's already there, and then I come back and put violet. I should be saying all this time, I know. But put purple violet on top of it. It's consistent, consonant, synchronous. It works. It's not introducing. I'm not coming in and introducing sort of something out of left field. It's already there. And it just works well. Okay, if I were to continue that impulse, I would go around, next to blue, right? Red, purple, blue. I'm going around the color wheel. But I'm not sure that there's enough blue. Nah, I think I'm going to end that process then. And I tell you what, I am really feeling the pressure of two areas. One is the sky, chopped up by all these ropes, lines, and this wall down here. But I really want to tackle the sky first, so bear with me. I was debating. And also, my feet are getting tired, so I'm going to lower this down quite a bit. So I'll have to move your camera so that I can hopefully sit down and paint. Okay. Forgive me for all that rocky road, rocky ride. Okay. Whew. It always feels so good to sit down, and I usually stay sitting down about 10 minutes or less before I'm back up on my feet again. Energy just flows better. Energy flows better when you're standing up until your feet get too tired to stand up. Okay, let's talk about this sky a little bit. The photograph doesn't help me a bit because the color of my sky, it developed a life of its own. After layers, many layers of acrylic and then oil, it became its own color. I like it very much. The shaft of light that I want to continue to see and emphasize is this coming down at an angle like this. Part of what that makes that work is the color up here in the sky, the light up here in the sky. So here, let's be clear. Here, let's be clear. I am painting translucent. I'm using opaque paint, but I'm applying it very thinly. Hey, you U012. Oh, I know. Sorry about the bad. I know those are old of watercolor. I will be doing more watercolor always. Thanks for that comment, and sorry about the bad sound. Ooh. So here's the way I think about skies a lot of times. First of all, I dare not start getting too literal with my skies. It's easy for me to do. I'm a lifelong student of clouds. I like clouds and I like what they look like. Therefore, it's easy for me to paint realistic clouds. And I've made the mistake of doing that more than once in a painting. And it just doesn't work because unless I'm doing a super realistic painting, which is of course legal, always an option. But of course this is not a realistic painting. The magic of this particular painting, like most of mine, is the magic of abstraction, right? I render just enough to help you see the object, but no more than that. I want your eyes. Anyway, so that's the magic of abstraction. Therefore, I can't be painting realistic clouds. My skies need to be abstract, like all the rest of the painting. Well, in this case, I'm either hindered or aided, depending how you look at it, by the fact that my sky is totally chopped up, absolutely crisscrossed. Here, let me show you the photograph again, real quick. See this? I'm guessing roughly 100 ropes. And I don't even care if I'm off. Maybe it's only 50. Doesn't matter. The fact is, it's just a forest of, I'm calling them ropes. Forgive me, all you sailors. Because if I say the word lines here, you'll think you'll go into the, I think, into art language and ropes. It's just an absolute forest of ropes, right? I'm not, no way am I going to start trying to render them one by one, like my friend David Stickle would do, or Jim Dunn would do, some of my photorealistic friends, right? And it's not that I couldn't. Of course, it would take more time, but that's not why I'm not. I don't do realism. I don't do realism mostly because I think that the most beautiful art is not realism, but is abstract realism. That's my opinion. And so that's why I do what I do. It's not because I can't do realism. Go to my website, you can see. In fact, I just created a playlist on my Facebook page. While I was doing all the playlist work the last week, I created a few playlists on my Facebook page, Facebook.com/Dan the Art Man. And one of the playlists that I put together is about 10 or so videos of me doing a photorealistic painting, still life. And so if you want to see me do photorealistic stuff, then by all means. So I'm quite happy, let me bring you in here, quite happy with the softness of the way these ropes, and we call them ropes instead of line. Well, they were all kinds of things, but I'm not, see that, to me, that is a painting now. That's painting. I'm not quite finished. I'll come back and probably scratch a little bit in order to, for instance, that didn't do much, but some of the other scratching I do, another line on the ship. And I don't know why there's one lone green net hanging up here by itself while all the rest of the nets are back here. Not my job to know such things. Paint them if I want to. Indeed, it seems like that seems like a neat little detail there, that this one net hanging up here by itself. Okay, let me demonstrate again. Perhaps the last technique that I'm going to use to render some of these ropes, lines. clean brush. A little bit of liquid, mixing up some dark stuff over here now. And dirty blue, transparent dirty blue. Okay, and then applying it with my brush to palette knife. I might need more than this, it's not producing very much. And then deciding very carefully where I want one of the stronger ropes to appear. There we go. See, so now in mixed with all these soft ropes, I have one. I'm going to do at least two like that. And here I am using my color killer again I talked about earlier. Only works if your palette knife is clean. Get the dried paint off of there. I'm using my color killer, which is student grade. Okay, I want this stroke to go something like that. Student grade raw umber. There we go. Okay, so what I'm modeling for you here is these ropes, lines, are rendered now. I think I counted roughly in 8 different ways, 8 different techniques to render this forest of ropes. I know they're not called ropes. Lines, I believe, but if I say lines, you'll just think I mean like arc lines. I'm trying to talk about sailor lines, boat lines. Anyway. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to come back and repaint on top of much of what I'm doing here because of another very, very important principle. When you're in the realm of painting in opaque colors, okay, which many artists are there from the get-go, but for me it's just is opaque. But when you're in the realm of opaque painting, you have to remember this very important trick. It's almost too important to be called a trick. Principle? I don't know. But anyway, it is. Once you put down, especially if you put down like this buff color, I've covered all, basically from here to here, is all the same color paint. And your eye, the viewer, can kind of tell that it's all the same color paint. And that's mildly disturbing. The viewer goes, they don't know what they're disturbed by, of course. It's not their job to know what's disturbing them. It's our job as the artist to know what's disturbing them. And what's disturbing them is too overuse of, didn't change it enough. So here's the trick, is you come back and paint on top of what you just did with a slightly, the word slight is important, with a slightly lighter shade. Now, someone might say, well, doesn't it work the same for darker? The answer is absolutely not. The human eye, as I like to put it, the human eye likes to see light paint on top of dark paint, but we do not so much like to see dark paint on top of light paint. So that's what I'm doing right now. Coming back, you can see that I've mixed up a slightly lighter version of the same buff tan beige, whatever you call it, want to call it. And painting on top of much of the stuff that I just put down. Not all of it, by any means. Don't cover it all up. That would be a waste of. Now the question is, can you come back and do that same thing again? And the answer is, of course, yes, absolutely, of course you can. And by the way, I just put a tiny bit of liquid on my brushes, which raises the question some will have, do you use liquid at this stage of the painting process? The answer is essentially no, because this is opaque. We're painting opaque, and liquid makes your paint transparent. But But yes, I just use liquid to help the paint flow a little bit. It was a little bit dry. I was having a hard time. Don't want it. So yeah, so I just added a tiny bit. So there, I think I'm pretty happy with how that is looking. I will probably come back. No, tomorrow I am driving halfway across our state through a hurricane. But I think it looks like the weather's cooperating up for me. Driving to Winston-Salem and doing a wedding tomorrow night. So I hope that I will be broadcasting from that wedding. Okay, I think I'm going to take a break here and paint without you for a while, simply because this is just a little too slow. Let me repeat what I said earlier. This final edit layer, I cover up very little of the canvas, but it's by far the slowest step of the painting process. There we go. And let me bring it around here just for a minute to see how well you can see the whole painting. There we go. I'm fairly happy with that. You're still getting some glare. There, that helps a little bit. That's a little bit more representational. Again, and I want, there's this shaft of light that's going to come all the way from the top down through the middle, dark right across here, a cut across it, but still, generally this light, I feel like is key compositional issue for the success of this painting. Right at the moment I'm thinking, I don't like that much. Don't like that, quite that much orange up there, so, oh, that's perfect now. It's nice to be able to paint. Hey gang, I am just finishing up with this quick painting. Again, that doesn't mean I don't reserve the right to retouch it a second day if I so choose. I love doing day twos, second days on paintings, whenever it's convenient. But I'm just forcing myself, I'm practicing what I preach. I'm forcing myself to declare this finished, even though I feel like I could go on for quite some time fiddling, right? But usually you want to stop before you feel like you're really finished. So that's what I feel. I feel like I'm not really finished. Whoa, sorry about that. Hang on. Sorry, I didn't realize I had moved my camera so much. There we go. I'll get you there eventually. That's too much glare. Let's see if I can do better. Okay, there's a little better. Sorry about that. Anyway, I am essentially finished. But now, in the last few minutes, I'm going to do this little trick. Again, it's not really a trick, it's a principle, but it's a cool trick. And I call it broken color. That's not unique to me. That term is art professor language. And I've been doing this lately as I'm just trying to become a better painter, looking at my paintings. What it means is I want to put bits of color really anywhere in the painting that match the value of what's already there. If I put some bits of paint that, for instance, let me zoom in right here as close as I can. See this is supposed to be grass, right? But it seems to me if I came in here and did a touch of pale green, very contrasty color, okay, that's all right. A little bit much, I decided. To a few other places. If it's a different value, that is, if it's much lighter than what's already there, then I don't call that a broken color. That's a broken value. In fact, broken values are very important too. That is like points of light and dark and so forth. But my paintings typically are already filled with broken value because I play with the play of light so much that my paintings don't really call for an extra layer of broken value, but they do call for a little bit of broken color. Oh, forgive me just a moment. I just decided to go back and finish. I just decided I really want a brighter, harder edge on this white box. I have no idea what that white box is, and it doesn't matter. Same thing here on the top of this boat and the front of the boat. These are things I was going to do and forgot about them. Now I'm just doing them now because I just see them. Okay, so this is not broken color. This is finishing the last layer that I was working on. Okay, now back to what I was doing. Little bits, let me go back to just doing some green again. Trying to match the value but shift the color. Just looking for any excuses to add color to my painting. Any value, any lightness or darkness, doesn't matter. For instance, let me mix up some dark, dirty orange here. Because I think this blue box over here, whatever it is, would be well served if it had some other color. Same value, that is not any lighter or much lighter than what's already there, but just a different color. There we go. Okay. I'm not seeing an awful lot of need or places for this, so I'm not going to drag it on. It's really easy to just paint too long, you know. So, but that is it. Actually, the best piece I did it earlier, much earlier, when I did that little red dot right there. Again, I feel I give myself freedom to, oh yeah, that's a good stroke. It's a pretty big mark. I give myself the right to, if you will, to come back and look at this. Not tomorrow, I'll be busy doing a wedding tomorrow, but later on next week, and make any changes I want. So in the meantime, let me just say thank you guys for watching. Thank you for comments. If you like what I do, please subscribe and like and share, and tell some of your artsy friends about me. If you don't like what I do, just keep that to yourself, please. Anyway, hope you have a good day, good night, whatever you're doing, and I hope we all survive Hurricane Florence. Okay.